with Fernando Lozano, and we're talking about his marvelous show at the museum, We Remember. And I have to say, as part of the introduction, that Fernando and I have been in discussions for quite some time about different shows and different projects, and he always has a project going. He always gets everybody all excited about it, and he certainly got me excited about this exhibit, We Remember. And Fernando, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for this great introduction. I mean, it's a pleasure being among friends, among you, and just talking about art and sharing my experience and ours. That's a wonderful conversation just started already. Thank you, Charles.
Well, you're quite welcome. And, to everyone listening and viewing, I want to say that with Day of the Dead, we traditionally have looked for an artist or two to contribute to the altars and, make a larger context for this celebration. And when we started talking to Fernando, his ideas were so expansive and so compelling that I thought maybe we don't talk to anybody else. Maybe we just talk to Fernando because he's got it all going on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's why. Okay, if that's your question, that's fine.
Muted. All right. Well, no. I had to say, Charles, that. Well, first of all, thank you for believing that the show was going to be successful and I was going to be able to finish it. The idea and the invitation from you guys was an amazing experience for me because we were thinking. I mean, we were looking at what is Dia de los Muertos, right? What is it signified? What do we celebrate? And I thought that the celebration is to remember the loved ones, the ones who have passed away and have gone. And the pandemic hit us with so many, hit us from every angle, right? I mean, friends disappearing, loved ones not being able to say goodbye to each other. And that was, very compelling for me because, like I said, on a lot of occasions, I paint my soul. I paint what I feel. I paint my feelings are there, and basically seeing the nation going through this incredible episode on our lives, and being able to kind of understand a little bit the magnitude of this thing, it kind of was, it was an easy step to say, what, we need to honor all those people who have passed away in the United States, to honor those people who have not been able to say goodbye to their families and friends. And again, thank you for letting me do that, because I think one of the things that I have been reading and I've been listening is that we don't know too much about epidemics because we don't really put an effort to put them in front of us, to say this is what happened. And the idea of We Remember is exactly that. We're going to remember this episode for many years to come. We will have to remember this and make us aware of the situation that we're going to be going, because this is not going to be the first time we're going to be hitting with this kind of epidemic. I mean, if you read more and more, there's going to be a lot of other things coming. So we need to be prepared. We need to be aware. We need to know that this thing happened, that this, I mean, if you start reading about the epidemic of the Spanish flu, for example, there's some little images that we have. I mean, at that time they were using masks, right? You have photographs, 20s, and they had the mask on. So why do we have to, fight with each other? I mean,
well, what a perfect metaphor too, and we'll begin to share our screen in a minute. But what a perfect expansion of the metaphor of the altars of the Day of the Dead, where we're remembering in each altar someone in our family and someone here and someone there. But now we have all these people to remember. And I think what really struck me about what you proposed, Fernando, is that you wanted to remember the entire country. And with that, let's launch our screen share and you talk us through this.
Well, when we start conversation of what it will be interesting for your 100-year anniversary, and what I can bring to the table. At that time, we were having 500,000 people already pass away. So the first thing I thought, the nation is to heal. The nation is to understand this, how magnitude is happening to us. And that was the beginning. Now, again, when I said I want to celebrate and honor everyone that live in the United States, because obviously it's a global epidemic, right? But at the same time, we're here in the United States, and I wanted to emphasize the part that the 50 states plus the 5 territories is part of. It's like a family, right? It's our family, it's our friends, it's our cousins, and we should honor and celebrate those people. One of the things that I remember completely, my mother telling me, is that you stand on the shoulders of your relatives, right? And everyone stands on the shoulders of their relatives. So now we see this thing happening on our nation, and we need to understand that part. Now, this whole the image that you see there is called La Catrina or La Carvancera, which is a art produced by a famous Mexican artist, Jose Guadalupe Posada. I'm gonna talk a little bit about him. Jose Guadalupe Posada was basically, he is the one who invented Dia de los Muertos. This image represents that, right? Represents how we see that. And the part that is interesting is in the Mexican tradition, we kind of laugh about death. I mean, we're not too scared about dying. It's another process, it's another step to living. That is part of living. So in his cartoons, his idea was to make death be part of us. I mean, it conceives the idea that just because they're dead, they're not going to scare you anymore. No, they're going to be coming back and celebrating with you Dia de los Muertos, right? And they want to demand their favorite foods and their favorite flowers. So that's an emergence of
all the great
culture.
things from when they lived.
Right. That culture from the Spanish and the Mexicans is right there in front of us. That skeleton. And Posada was a very amazing engraver. He published a small magazine called La Gaceta Popular, the Popular Gazette, magazine, and that's how he made his living. But his art was celebrated by Diego Rivera. I have Diego Rivera, and what you see on his folk, La Catrina.
Posada, yes.
So this man single-handedly made artists believe on the art of their own country, right? He gave them the foundation to believe that they could do art in this caliber.
Yeah, the foundation and the conviction, I think.
Absolutely.
Now, when you and I first talked, you told me this would be a big painting. I didn't realize how big you meant. How big is this?
It's 20 feet by 13. It's 6 panels.
It's beautiful.
5 panels, I'm sorry, 5 panels. And it's actually the first one I done this big, but now I'm so hooked to these things that I want to do bigger, right? Like every artist wants to do big. No, but to me, when we were talking about it, the weight of the country was bigger than everything else, right? So I needed to do something big.
Yeah.
And to represent United States, America, right? And it needs to be an image that you could see. Now, I am, merging two cultures here again, like Posada did with the Spanish and the Aztecs. I'm merging the culture of the Mexicans with the Americans with the flag, which is
Which is
another,
so appropriate.
way of saying. Thank you for helping us, or not for helping us, but thank you for allowing the cultures merge to be able to understand other cultures. It's an important part on us as human beings.
Well, absolutely. And what a beautiful merger too, because think of how much each has given to the whole and made the whole better for that.
Right.
I think it doesn't, whether you're talking about music or literature or art, the merging of these two cultures is a phenomenal impetus for this entire country.
Right. Now, I had to tell you that I have visited the museum, your museum, prior to this. And every Thanksgiving for the past 4 years, I've been going through your museum, and it's just amazing the things that you've done with the Dia de los Muertos. It's an inspiration for us, for me, as an artist, to really explore that and go even beyond that, because you put this. I mean, not you, but everybody in the museum put a seed to make art and Dia de los Muertos an event to celebrate and to bring these cultures together. To me, that was an amazing thing that you have done.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that, Fernando, because in a way, it struck me when I first came here in 2003 that the museum didn't have a big collection, and we didn't have a great connection to the community. And I came from an academic background, and your challenge there is to serve the academic community. I wanted to serve a bigger community, so I came here and talked to so many people and got so much advice, which has proved helpful over the last 20 years. And that was the point we started Dia de los Muertos, and thinking about a collection that would support that event, and also thinking about all the great Hispanic artists in America who've really moved American art forward and started collecting them, and which led me to you and to other beautiful things, and to this stunning show that you've put together.
Well, thank you. No, and again, to me, the impact as well is the video that we show next to it, where people just pretty much say the word "we remember." But when you say that "we remember," it just brings so much deepness about who you are. Where are you? Who do you remember? What do you remember? Why do you remember? All those questions into "we remember," it just brings that whole context of this epidemic more into the situation where, yes, we're going to remember this. Yes, we're not going to forget all these people who have passed. I mean, the 750,000 souls that have gone, right? And yes, we're going to try to be a better, in a way, a better society, and understand a little bit more each other.
A stronger society. And you know what I loved about your proposal for this exhibition is that I felt like, if you want to compare this to the Twin Towers being bombed, we lost less people, but we floundered in how we responded and shared our feelings. And you with your exhibition had a very clear sense of how to share our feelings, a very clear plan of how to execute this. And I mean, I have to say, I always have known you to be the best planner and the best artist. Tying those two things together, I know you'll always do it perfectly. So my hat's off to you, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you, Charles. Thank you very much. But, you know, another thing that I had to try to mention is the part that when I say we remember, I mean, I know the feeling of losing a loved one, a close one. I lost my son, you know, and not to epidemic, but something else, a tragic situation. And I felt for many years lost. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I can see, and I can the more I started to research, the more I felt those people who were losing their loved ones, they were going just the same way as what I was doing. You know, they were losing their ability to focus, their ability to go wake up in the morning and get up and walk and work. You know, that to me, at the same time, that to me felt, yes, we need to remember those people, but at the same time, we need to remember the ones who are left behind, the ones who are day by day are suffering the way I did. And it's a very painful feeling, not feeling, being able to express it and to
Exactly.
share it, because you know it is so personal. Grieving as somebody is very personal, but at the same time, I felt that this show, by saying I remember my son, made me a little bit better and made me smile. You know.
Well, and you know, a lot of what we remember in your personal situation and this situation with the pandemic is these are people we didn't expect to lose.
Correct.
This is not the time that we expected them to move on. And the shock of that and the misery of that and the sorrow of that, to have an artistic way to express an understanding about that, I think is in this case, your particular genius. You did it beautifully. I can't tell you how many people have spoken to me about how much it's moved them.
No.
And I hope that they have reached out to you too, to let you know it. And you know, I want to touch on something else, because this is something you're extremely good at as an artist. This is complicated, this exhibition. And you had a blueprint, am I right? You had a blueprint for every step of the way. And every time I had a question, you said, oh, this is how we do this. This is how we do this. And I thought, wow, you were so on top of everything, every detail.
Well, you know, I mean, I had to tell you that this show was and is very important for me, for the feeling, for the message, for the whole experience, for the connection with other people. It's very personal, right?
Sure.
And at the same time, I needed to show myself as well that I was gonna be able to do this, right?
Yeah.
I needed to make sure that I was gonna pretty much come through with these things, and the idea of producing 55 shelves, you know, wall space. I mean, I had to ask my father-in-law, can you help me? I said, yeah, Fernando, I can help you. So, you know, there's a lot of participation with other people that were inclined to help me without even knowing what I was doing. But just the main idea that this was going to be a show to heal a little bit the wounds of the nation was very important for a lot of people.
Well, Fernando, in that sense of that kind of mustering help and the troops, you remind me of Michelangelo, who also needed help, right? And he could marshal the help and the artisans and the interns, and he could make it happen. And sometimes you and I would have the discussions about what this was going to be, and I would think, can you do this? This is big. This is like a Christo event. This needs thousands of people to help, and you found them, and you did it.
I had to say that the help was with the videos, with people saying we remember the music, the whole thing, friends helping me to do this. And I think it's in a little way the feeling that I was portraying to them, right? Why do I doing this? Why do you have to do this, Fernando, right? Why? And again, just because it felt that the nation was in a shock and needed a lift on that time. Now, we're still behind on the Ebro a couple times, but I hope, and I hope that it came across that this is a show to lift your spirits, not to give you down.
Oh yes.
Lift your spirits and to remember that, yes, we have gone through this dark period of our history, but we are going to be coming out of it. And I will remember this as a period for me that healed myself. This show helped me heal my soul.
Well, I have to say, looking at this image on the screen right now, you get a chance to feel the impact of this assemblage of things, which, frankly, I don't think is limited to just this moment, this several weeks of exhibition. I think this has a life because, like so many important things that impacted so many lives, we need to remember. We need to remember Pearl Harbor. We need to remember the internment camps. We need to remember our different struggles, the Depression, the Dust Bowl. And those are things you don't want our national identity to forget, because we will face a version of them in the future.
Exactly. I believe as an artist that you had to make a mark of the things that impacts you as a human being. This to me is something that it just hurt so much in my soul that I needed to say, you know what? I want to leave it here. I want to put it here on the table. And the conversations could be yes, no, whatever it is. But as long as you have a conversation with this, you go out and you start growing already by just talking, by just communicating your feelings. So that is as an artist, I think that is so important to be able to say, I'm leaving this for people to remember. Don't forget the things that we went through. And that's a powerful to me as an artist.
I think that's so on point. And the thing that is difficult about history is that given the different generations, and we might have people, you and I, Fernando, may have older relatives that remember saving every scrap in the Depression. And you think, why are they so funny? Why are they so strange about not throwing away a green bean? or whatever. It's because they remember the Depression and they look at us and go, you should remember. But we don't even know that. But frankly, we should learn it. And we should learn from this moment, as you've given us in this exhibition. This is an example of try to embed this in your memory, because as you just said a few minutes ago, things like this will happen again. And you need to remember back to what happened so you don't repeat it, or you improve your performance, or you at least identify with the compassion that you need to get through these things.
Correct. And you know what? Another thing is so interesting to me as an artist. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about the first art, the first guy who went down in the caves and put his hand on the rock and made a scribble. And I'm talking. I'm going. Why, right? Why did he do that? Well, because his soul, his human being, his knowledge of things wanted to show the other persons or the other generations or whatever, what was he feeling? What was his feelings? You know, I mean, when he puts the hand on the rock, it says, that's me. When he draws a bison or a tiger, he says, those are the things that attack me.
Yeah,
you
these
know?
are real to me.
So that is so powerful. So powerful. The beginning of art, the beginning of mankind, the portrayal on a rock. I think we're the only species on the earth that can do that, right? We can do music, we can write, we can paint.
Yes, and I think we seek, as you're saying, I think we seek to share the feelings and the feelings, the emotions, the observations that we have in the moment. Could we send them forward, and would someone identify with them? Maybe they won't, but maybe they will. The bison, maybe nobody will understand that this is what I hunt, but maybe we will understand. And maybe we become better human beings for trying to understand.
Correct. No, I think that's so important. I mean, as I read about history, as I understand a little bit more, everything that happened is just an amazing pictorial history that you can see, right? You can see that how humans are believing, are changing, are doing things through the paintings. I mean, the Renaissance, you can see that beautiful feeling of jubilees and excitement and new discoveries on those paintings. And then you go to the abstract things, the abstract painting. I mean, it just gives you a snapshot of that time, at that period. But at the same time, it gives you the ability to connect with those things and to grow and to do this kind of art, right? I mean, to me, this installation is a conjunction of a lot of things, right? Digital art, the skeletons, the electronics, the wood. It's a whole combination of things. So
absolutely. And as I watched you install this exhibition and thought of our talks before the installation, I couldn't help but think that Sam Coronado, when he came with his print project, would have loved this. Yes. Sam, so full of heart, so positive thinking and optimistic. He would have loved what you did. And I don't know if you had a chance to meet Sam when he was here.
No.
Not. He ran the Serie A print project for years, trying to promote young printmakers to understand how to produce a career, how to advance everything. and he would have loved this. And his spirit and your spirit and my spirit are so linked, I think. Look at this beautiful shot we have here of one of the corners and a specific shot of one of the actual shelves that you installed. You went to such detail with the candle, with the skull. Tell me about it.
Well, you know what, and the colors are representative of every state. I mean, I went and I looked at what color the flag they had. So there's a lot of reds and blues. I remember now.
Ah, there you are.
You know, because that is what we have, red and blue. But I wanted for the people who, for example, will go and check Indiana altar, and they will recognize the color of the flag on that.
Yes.
Or Arizona, or New Mexico, because they know their colors. They knew that. So I wanted to connect in a way with everyone, different altar by bringing their colors, by bringing their flag, by bringing their symbols a little bit on color wise. And that's the reason, you know, the material, when we were talking, I was talking to the person who helped me with the skulls. I said, we need to, you know, remember these are the colors, and I send them the different colors of the flags of everything, and now with the internet you can just Google it and it gives you the right percentage of color for magenta, blue, and things, so you can pick up the right color of it, you know. But that is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that. If you were coming from, you know, I don't know, New Mexico, and visit the show, and you start looking at the show, and you go, oh my goodness, this guy thought about me.
Yeah, thought about me, thought about my colors.
Right.
Well, and this is what I'm trying to say tonight in commending you, is that this is how thorough you are. And I respect that so much. You get your details down, and I applaud you for it.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Thank you very much. No,
now, this project was huge and took you many months to formulate it, project it, make it happen. But, you know, I have an interesting feeling about you that you're about to do another project just as big. Is that potentially true?
You know, I'm blessed that I'm looking for the next year. I have a show on Jasper talking about a new project that I'm going through. It's called Portraits of a Coal Miner. I was living northern Business. I was living in Edwardsport, where there's a big electric plant by Duke Energy. And I saw every morning hundreds of trains going by and dumping coal and burning the coal. Now, it is, then I started thinking about it, you know, coming from California and being a big city guy, sometimes we don't really understand the culture of small cities, right? The small parts.
Yeah.
The traditions, the way of living. I mean, for now I understand that, you know, mining is a part of a living that they don't want to phase out, right? Because that's how they make they pay the rent. So now I kind of understand that, but being from California, I say, oh no, we should get rid of coal right now.
Yeah.
Now, yes, there's a cons and cons, and the two parts of this is a little bit more difficult than just that. But at the same time, you know, I started to research my project, and I found out that the little kids were doing mining. They were doing the little holes on the mines, and to me that is so interesting, so no interesting in a way that why, because I know why. Hunger is a powerful motivator, right? If you don't have food and they say, well, you can dig a hole there and I give you $2 so you can buy a hamburger or whatever, you're going to do that. Hunger is a great motivator for a lot of people. And those kids were hungry. So they did the dirty jobs, you know, and that to me is overwhelming in a way, because now we know that kids shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, there's another face of that is the way they were living. That's the way they were making feeling their paying their rent, their father, the mother, making a living. So it's a very kind of a, you know, give and take idea. It's but
Well,
what
it's another big topic. It's another huge topic that you're looking at now, because you're right. There's the issue of how can I exist, which everyone needs to find a way to do this job, that job, the other job, to feed the family, to get through life. And at the same time, there's exploitation on the other side that says, you know, we need somebody to do this dirty job and we don't have much money to pay, but will you do it? And somebody does it. I think it's brilliant that you explore this.
Again, you know, it's things that motivates me to the point that I just start going deeper and deeper into that. And again, I go back to the principle that I was talking about the first man going down in the cave and painting, right? So in a way, I'm going down because I'm using coal as the main part of my canvas. So I'm envisioning that when the show is done, it's gonna feel like you are inside a mine, because it's all full of coal around you. You know,
Wow. That's
impressive.
impressive.
So
that is impressive.
And this crazy guy painted the walls on that mine, right?
Yeah.
That is how I envision myself doing this show. And what do I want to say? Well, I want to say that yes, we understand what happened in the past. We understand where the future is leading, and we need to make a connection how we're going to merge the two to continue surviving, because climate change is on us, which is one of the other topics that I am very passionate about it. Climate change is going to be coming soon, and it's not going to affect me. I'm going to be gone in a few years. It's my grandchildren, my daughter, my son.
Yes, I understand.
You know, so that's a project, and like that, I have a lot of other things on my mind that it's always, you know.
Well, I love that you have these deep and important issues and causes at the heart of what your artistic expression wants to attack and bring to light. I think it's an inspiration to all of us, and I commend you for it, my friend. I commend you.
Thank you. Again, it's the motivation of behind art is that, you know, what are we're leaving? I mean, to me, a painting needs to say something to me, right? I mean, it has to communicate. An art is so amazing in a way that is able to communicate a lot of feelings. I mean, let's go back to the Renaissance when the church needed to communicate the message of God. Art was there because not a lot of people were reading. They were not reading, you know, they were not reading a lot.
They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it.
You come to a church and you see this beautiful painting of this man giving you a hope on life. That is so powerful, you know.
Yeah,
Art is so powerful.
So moving.
And then you go and see Picasso, the Guernica, and you go, my goodness, what a great painting. What a great feeling of sadness and hope and despair. And that's art. That's art to me.
Well, it reminds you of the responsibility uh, of art to use your expressive power and ability to bring the big issues to the people to think about and to move them and to inspire them. And, I so admire you that you do it. And I think you do it so well. I wonder if anybody tonight has any questions for us as we round the corner from our presentation to a question and answer time. I know we have quite a few participants. If anybody has questions, we'd entertain them now. You can offer them in the chat, or you could actually just feel free to turn your sound on. We're pretty comfortable with that, I think.
Absolutely. This is a great conversation.
Okay, so we have some folks. Here comes a bigger view, I think, if I'm operating this correctly. Do we have any questions from anybody in the audience? I can see all your names of participants. Turn your mic off and just come on and ask either one of us a question. We two obviously have a lot of fun. We'd have even more fun answering your questions.
This is Christina Rodriguez. I do have a question.
Can you hear me? Yes, we can.
Fernando, I was looking at your online portfolio, and I was wondering, and I love the fact that you have a lot of art that depicts your politics. How did you muster the courage to do that? Have you been doing that forever? I mean, because there's a lot of there's a lot of galleries and museums that do have political bias, and just what has been the response, and how have you mustered the courage to basically portray your point of view on issues that can be polarizing?
Well, thank you, Christina, for that question. The answer is simple. It affects me. It is things that affect my life, my friends, my living. And it's a conviction that I think we all have, right? I mean, the conviction, I believe we all comes with we are all born with this moral compass, I believe, that tells you the right or the wrong. And I guess my moral compass is on that part, to give the voice of not with the intention of hurting or to make a disagreement point or something. It's just to make a point that sometimes, torture is not something that we want to do on our lives. That, Black Lives Matter are important. That, making one president, one-term president because he was Black is not something that is going to help the country. At the contrary, it's going to destroy us, right? I mean, we're supposed to be unified after everything that happens and then politics, but we are separated. What gives me that courage? The courage of being true to my life, to be true to myself, to believe what I believed, and to say, let's have a conversation. This is the painting I'm doing. Tell me if you like it or dislike it, but let's have a conversation instead of fighting about this. That is what I'm trying to say on a lot of my art. I'm trying to say, we're here, we are sharing the same space in this world. Let's have a conversations about that. And that is basically, like I said, that, painting my soul. Thank you for the question. I hope I answer it.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other thoughts or questions from the audience?
Well, I have a comment and a question. Excuse me, I'm
Welcome.
losing my voice. I've
That's
been
okay.
teaching all
Welcome, my
day.
friend.
Teaching all day. So this weekend is the 2-year anniversary of my mother's passing, and remembering her is it's just something that I naturally do. It's bittersweet, no doubt. And I juxtapose that with my very best friend, whose mother is still alive, and we grew up together on the same block. I know her from I can't remember a time without her. But she's suffering from dementia right now. And I went to visit recently, and she couldn't remember me. And that was heartbreaking. And I want to ask you, Fernando, in your mind, what does not remembering, what does forgetting look like?
Oh, well, I mean, I will say from the point of view of the person who is not remembering, is living in the dark, right? Being kind of, it's just like a book without letters. It's a book without chapters, without words. And I had a similar experience when my father figure, who lost his mind. I mean, he's lost his dementia again. It's a terrible disease. But one of the things that I always go back is I go back to the points where we were having a good time, when we were laughing, when we were joking, where he was teaching me to be an artist, when he was teaching me to see a movie or to see things, when he taught me how to see a photograph and asked me, where's the camera place on that photo? Those are the things that I think you should remember the most. Those times with your family, with your members, who bring you joy. And I know it's maybe it's a little corny and sad, but as human beings, I think we need to look for the positive a little bit as well. I had to say that it's a hard one for me to answer on a lot of spectrums, but for me is remembering. And I'm sorry if because you still remember it, your mom, you still remember it. Unfortunately, for the other person, she doesn't remember that. But you can remember her laughter. And that is something that's so powerful.
Yeah, I asked that question because just to take it to a national level, we're struggling and wrestling and really fighting over what to remember and what to forget in terms of our history, and it just underscores the importance of remembering. And I think about remembering as being a gift. Because when we lose that ability, like you said, it's like a book without words. It's an image that's gone black. It's a very scary sort of thing. So remembering is a gift, and it's a tragic and sad thing when an individual or even a society loses that ability.
Correct.
I think you raise a really good point, and you put it in a good context, because let's go to the individual first, I guess, that each of us from every chunk of our lives have memories. And when we're little, when we're middle, when we're a little older, when we get a little older than that. And I think a scary, a horrifying thing is to think about the fact that you don't remember that time, whatever the time was. You don't remember that day. You don't remember that person. And if you expand that, as you suggested a minute ago, Tyson, to a nation that might not remember a time, that might not remember, a generation, a historic series of moments, it's equally sad. And I think, Fernando, if I'm not misrepresenting here, I think that one of your motivations is help us remember.
Correct.
Help us not lose sight of things that have happened, good and bad. But they happened, and they're going to influence our future. Actually, they're probably going to influence our present.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, that is one of the factors of what I'm doing, is to make sure that we don't forget those moments, that we don't forget the 750,000 people who have passed away during this pandemic. We need to remember that, and we need to remember that the way we're going out of it is because of vaccination and mask and community gathering, not separating ourselves. Not getting against each other, which is something that some of us do. But the other thing that I start to see more and more, Tyson, is that the nation is starting to remember those things. The nation is asking to go back in history and say, this is what had really happened. From every period, from every time, from every space, that we have gone in history, from the Native Americans to the Mexicans, to the Blacks, to the Indians, to the Chinese. We are starting to put those two together, and we're starting to say, this is what happened. Remember.
Well, remember, and let that remembrance head us to the unity that has been before, and the unity that could come now, and the unity that is so very important. I want to thank everybody tonight for your interest in joining Fernando and I, and for helping us wrap up this session now. The conversation will be recorded and published on the Fort Wayne Museum of Art YouTube and Facebook pages. I can't claim any credit for that because I'm not sure how to do it. That is my own challenge and loss of memory. But thank you all very much. Thanks for being with us. Fernando, thank you.
No, thank you.
Much best to you. God bless everybody.
Thank you.
Tyson and everybody, thank you.